Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the life of J.K. Rowling. And let me tell you, it's a story of failure, magic, and controversy that might just be even more dramatic than Harry Potter's own. So let's start with a question that really gets to the heart of this incredible story. How does a single mother on government assistance become the world's first billionaire author? I mean, it sounds like a classic rags to riches fairy tale, right? But the reality, well, it's so much more complex and, frankly, way more inspiring than you might think. So where do we start? Well, our story actually begins not at the beginning of her life, but at what she herself considered its absolute lowest point. Okay, picture this. It's the mid-90s. Rowling is in Edinburgh, living in a flat with mice. She's just fled an abusive marriage, she's jobless, she's trying to care for her infant daughter, and on top of all that, she's been diagnosed with clinical depression. In her own words, she called herself the biggest failure she knew. I mean, she was as poor as it was possible to be in modern Britain without actually being homeless. But here's the crazy part. Looking back on it, she actually described this failure as liberating. Yeah, liberating. It stripped away everything that wasn't essential and basically forced her to pour all of her energy into the one thing that truly mattered to her, her writing. So to really get how she made this incredible comeback, we've got to rewind the clock a few years to a moment of pure, totally unexpected inspiration. She's on a delayed train, right? And suddenly, the idea of a skinny, black-haired boy with glasses who has no idea he's a wizard just comes to her, fully formed. And get this, she didn't even have a pen, and she was too shy to ask for one. So for 4 whole hours, she just sat there and let all the details bubble up in her imagination. She started writing that very night. But, having that magical idea is one thing. The journey to actually finishing the book, it was paved with some really immense personal hardship. I mean, just months after that train ride, her mother died from multiple sclerosis. And that loss, it profoundly influenced her writing, especially Harry's own story of loss. Then she moves to Portugal, gets into a really troubled and abusive marriage, and finally has to flee back to the UK, a single mom with her baby daughter and, crucially, the first few chapters of Harry Potter tucked away in her suitcase. And this is where she channeled all of that pain directly into the work. You know, those terrifying, soul-sucking dementors? Rowling has said she based them entirely on her own experience with clinical depression. She literally turned her internal struggle into a tangible monster for her hero to fight. Wow. Okay, so she's back in Edinburgh, living on government assistance, and she's just pouring everything she has into finishing this manuscript. You've probably heard the stories. Writing in cafes while her daughter napped beside her. But as it turns out, finishing the book was only the first battle. Her manuscript was sent out to 12 different publishing houses. And guess what? Every single one rejected it. After all that rejection, she finally found a literary agent, a guy named Christopher Little, who actually believed in the story. She later said his acceptance letter was, quote, the best letter she had ever received in her life. You can just imagine the relief. So, the agent sends the manuscript off to Bloomsbury Publishing. And this is my favorite part of the story. The final yes, it didn't come from some high-powered editor. It came from the chairman's 8-year-old daughter, Alice. He gave her the first chapter, and she came back almost immediately demanding the rest of the book. And that was the moment that changed absolutely everything. So with a tiny advance, just £1,500, and some friendly advice to get a day job because, children's books don't make money, the book was finally published. And nobody, least of all Rowling herself, could have possibly expected what was about to happen next. So get this, the very first print run in the UK was just 1,000 copies. 1,000! And half of those went straight to libraries. But then, the US rights sold at an auction for $105,000, which was just an astonishing amount. She said she almost died when she heard the news. And then, you fast forward to the final book, it sold 11 million copies, not in total, in the UK and the US on its first day alone. Just incredible. And from there, it just exploded. Those 7 books became 8 blockbuster films, theme parks, all the merchandise you could imagine, creating this massive global brand valued at an estimated $15 billion. But look, the money is one thing. The cultural impact was arguably just as massive, if not more so. Think about it. At a time when everyone was worried that kids were just abandoning books for video games and TV, Pottermania came along and single-handedly got an entire generation of kids excited about reading again. That is huge. Of course, J.K. Rowling's story doesn't just end with the final book. Her life as a public figure, well, it's been marked by two pretty major things: immense generosity and, more recently, significant controversy. First, let's talk about the philanthropy. She has given away so much of her fortune that Forbes actually reported she dropped off the billionaire list because of it. She started charitable trusts to fight social inequality. She supports single-parent families, something she knows a lot about, and she's donated millions to establish a neurology clinic named for her mother to research multiple sclerosis. But then there's the controversy. In recent years, her public statements and essays about sex and gender have drawn really sharp criticism. Many have accused her of being anti-trans. This has led to public condemnation from LGBTQ+ organizations and even criticism from some of the cast members of the Harry Potter films themselves. It sparked a really complex and, let's be honest, often polarizing public debate about her views. You know, when she's asked how she wants to be remembered, Rowling's focus seems to shift away from all that controversy. And it goes right back to the beginning, back to the work itself, and really, the simple act of doing the best she could with the talent she had. And so that really leaves us with a final thought to chew on. From a desperate single mother to a global icon, her story is, without a doubt, a testament to resilience. But it also forces us, as readers and fans, to ask a tough question. How do we navigate that really complex relationship between a creator, the magical world they built, and all of us, the world that fell in love with it?